Welcome back to the podcast, folks. In a sec, we'll be having the chat with Spencer and Cathy. However, first, a little bit of admin. Few people asking where the podcast videos are. I have created a new YouTube channel specifically for the podcast, so check out the show notes for the podcast and there will be a link to the new channel there. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share to your heart's content. We are sponsored this week by Ultimate Add-ons. Ultimate Add-ons are the premium manufacturer of mobile phone and action camera mounting solutions for motorcycles. With a kit for any bike and a proven track record of creating products that keep your devices safe, secure and easily accessible, the Ultimate Add-ons product range is ideal for any rider from the commuter to the round-the-world adventurer. Why shell out on an expensive GPS system when you could use your smartphone, keeping it charged and within reach to take photos of your travels at the same time? Ultimate Add-ons waterproof, shockproof and dustproof tough cases are available for all flagship smartphone models and are designed by riders for riders. Find out why Ride Magazine gives Ultimate Add-ons their coveted Best Buy certification. Keep riding this winter with Ultimate Add-ons. It's all about the journey. And if you head to ultimateaddons.com and use the code TeapotOne10, you'll get 10% off. That's TEAPOTONE with the number 10, TeapotOne10, for 10% off. We are also sponsored by Transfor Limited Digital Solutions. Transfor Digital Consultancy are a web design and development consultancy with a passion for creating bespoke digital solutions for everyday challenges. From building websites to building branded solutions, Transfor Digital Consultancy can help your online presence and help ease cash flow with payment options available too. Contact ask@transfor.solutions. That's Transfor, Trans with the number 4.solutions for more information or visit transfor.solutions. Now, I use Transfor Limited Digital to host my websites, both the chickenstrips.co.uk and TeapotOne.com websites. I design websites myself and I've handed them over to them to do all the hosting and deal with the whole back end and the shop, the online store, everything like that. Lastly, we are also sponsored by Innov. Now, as usual, I don't really have any set blurb to read out from Innov. The products pretty much speak for themselves. I've done a few videos now. I initially bought the C5 single camera. I did a sort of installation vid and a vid review on that. Innov liked it, picked it up, gave me the K2, asked if I'd do the same with that, which I did. Then they came on board as an official channel sponsor for TeapotOne. And I have now done installation and review vids for the K5 and I've just done the review of the K3. They're great dashcam style systems. The K series are dual camera systems, so you get a camera for the front, a camera for the rear. They've got an external mic, they've got GPS overlay to show exactly where you were. The video quality of these cameras now is so good, you can actually integrate them into some of your own vlogging or trip videos, and that's exactly what I plan to do this year now that we can get out there and hit the road. So keep an eye on the channel and you will see lots of their footage being intermingled with my standard GoPro and phone footage, drone footage, everything like that. Can't recommend them enough, folks. They really are pretty much the pinnacle of motorcycle dashcam systems at the moment. Head to innov.co.uk, it's INNOVV.co.uk/TP1. Okay, folks, let's head on with Brew Time number 50. And this week we're talking with two real characters from the motorcycle overland world, Spencer Conway and Cathy Nell. They are two of life's gems. It is always an absolute pleasure to catch up with them. They are currently stuck in Mexico at the moment due to the whole pandemic situation. Now, we did the call via Zoom. There's a little bit of a delay at times, but the fun is constant. These two are a real laugh. It was an absolute pleasure to catch up with them. Folks, Spencer Conway, Cathy Nell, enjoy this one.
No, I'm terrible. I'm sick of this lockdown.
How is it over there?
I'm going crazy.
You're in Mexico, aren't you? Is that where you are just now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in a place called Zicatela. It's like it's a surf place, actually. It's one of the most dangerous surfing areas in the world. but bloody excellent going down. Am I allowed to swear? No, I'm not.
Yeah, of course
it's
you
so
are. No
good
problem.
going down to okay. It's so cool going down to the beach there because they're proper adventurers in their own way, man. Well, extreme sportsmen.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a plaque up there on the beach. It's about 2-minute walk from us of about 15 people that have died. Because it is absolutely intense. You know, from the youngest guy is like 15 and the oldest guy that died was like 71. So, I mean, you know, if it's in your blood, you just do it. But yeah, all the extreme guys come here. So we've got all the beards and braids and hippies and that here at the moment.
What side's that on then? Is that on the east or the west of Mexico?
Yeah, we're on the south coast. It's about 800 kilometers from Guatemala.
Oh, okay.
It's
Nice.
called the Mexican pipeline.
All right. Why is that then? What happens there?
It's to do with the waves.
Because
right.
it's the term they use. That looked rude, didn't it? Yeah, she's just being rude. Sorry, man. You know, lowering the tone of the conversation.
I thought it was maybe a pipeline for something else in Mexico. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, well, no, none of that. No, oil pipeline. It's a great place. It's a great place. It's a good place to get stuck. And this prison that we're in at the minute, we scored it for £8 each a night. And we've got an apartment, man. I mean, literally, it's the poshest we've ever been because I'm sure you know we camp and rough it all the time.
I know.
So it's been really cool. It's been really cool. So we've got like a little kitchen. We bought like a stove for like £3.
Wow.
So Cathy can make curries and stuff like that. So it hasn't been so bad.
Fantastic.
I mean, so I can also cook as well. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, sexist there. This is going well.
Start as we mean to go on. Speaking of which,
right, cheers, man.
Crackatini, Slange. Oh,
there we go.
Good health.
And thanks a lot for having us on here, Bruce, man. Really appreciate it. It's excellent.
Mate, it's absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on. Yeah, it's been a while since we, I think the last time we met up was it the 2019 Overland event?
I think so, yeah.
I think it probably
that was the last time, yeah. Because we've been here almost 2 years now.
Wow.
Went back briefly because my mum passed away like 3 months ago, which was a bit grim.
Sorry, dude. Very sorry to hear that.
Man. But luckily we managed to get back. In fact, it was the easiest flight we've ever been on. We had 4 seats each because obviously there's not a great deal of traveling going on. So that was really cool. And I got to see my dad. So, yeah, that was a bit of a grim time. But now we're back here trying to fix up the bike. There's a couple of problems with some bearings and things like that. But it should be on the road in the next few days.
What was that, Cathy? You broke. What was that?
It's a bit like Trigger's broom at the moment.
That's right. Yeah. Same. Well, is it the same frame? Is it the original frame that you've got? Same frame.
It's got the same people on it.
Yeah. The stickers are holding it together.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I've got cable ties and bungee cords holding my world jigsaw. That's basically held together with cable tie and bungee cord. But well. Yeah,
we're not the top at maintenance. You know, that's the problem. I don't really keep it out that much. I mean, the bike's only been washed 4 times, and that's every time it went through customs.
Yeah,
when you have to land in Colombia or whatever, you know, obviously, as you know, they spray them all down and find all sorts of animals in there and stuff. But I've actually never washed it since 2009, so that's not very impressive.
Well, it's only going to get dirty again, isn't it? There's no point.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's starting to get older. You know, it's becoming more hard work. I'm not talking about Cathy. I'm talking about the bike.
You're a brave man, brave or something else.
This is my last interview.
I think we better introduce you guys because we haven't done that yet, have we? So, folks, welcome to this episode. I think this is number 50, Brew Time number 50, and we have Spencer Conway and Cathy Nell.
Hi, thanks a lot. No, that's brilliant. It's great to be here, and to be on your 50th show, man, is an extra bonus. I just want to jump in and say everyone loves your shows, Bruce. So,
man, thank you very much. It's very kind.
We're glad that you gave up your job in the constabulary to do this. I think people appreciate it loads. How's it going? You having a good time, man?
I am. It feels like a different life now. That it's weird, and obviously I know I was in the old Bill, but it just doesn't feel real anymore. Almost, it's crazy. It's only been a year, but it's tough, isn't it? It's COVID, so it's been tough, but still here, still going. So hopefully it can only go up, really, can't it? Bring it on.
Yeah, it was a very very rude. You can't say things like it can only go up when Cathy's here. I'm just going to push off.
You know what the tone is going to be like, folks. What's that?
No, I had a similar thing, actually. I mean, COVID is a bad time to change jobs and that, but I had a similar thing. I was a teacher, man. I was teaching English in the Seychelles for 4 years at the university there. And,
I never knew that.
Yeah, man. I was a lecturer at the School of Art and Design, and I'm not a suit and tie person. I was the only teacher in the history of the Polytechnic that wore his sunglasses every day for 4 years. My students never saw my eyes.
But that's nothing, Bruce. He was the only teacher who drove into the school bus.
Yeah, I did. I drove into
So
my
many
own
stories.
students. Yeah, it was pretty bad, actually. It was we were riding and we went off and had a little bit of a party, and I think I'd had a couple of beers.
No
and
way,
it's the
not you.
Seychelles Islands.
Not you.
Well, no, a couple. And I came over a hill and I drove straight into my school bus with all my students on it. So that didn't go down too well. But it was a great job. But 4 years of that, and then I kind of probably had a similar thing to you, a bit of an epiphany, and I thought, I'm not a tie person. I'm not a suit person. I'm in this tropical country at 30 degrees and I'm inside 8 hours and blah, blah, blah. I need to change my life. And
so you went to England at -5 degrees.
Yeah, that's true.
A little bit of a change there. Yeah. What?
Yeah, but I mean, in 2009, I mean, Cathy and I talked about it for ages, but about doing Africa. And I respect her. We had 2 kids. We've still got them, haven't bummed them off.
sold them to do the trip.
Yeah, got a good price, so got us around Africa. And Cathy just said, look, I'll look after the kids, just go for it. And that's how it started. And then
Wow.
I met a guy. I was doing it like it was like a fair, a typical English fair, and they asked me to lead it with the motorbike. So we had all these floats and all this stuff. And then this guy came up to me and said, you're going to try and circumnavigate Africa? And I said, yeah. And he said, are you filming it? And I said, no, I'm going to write a book, because that was the intention, was to write a book.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, listen, I'm with Diesel Films, Discovery Channel, Travel Channel, etc. I make independent films, and here's a camera. And he sorted me out with a Panasonic HD camera, spent about 45 minutes teaching me how to film, and then said, off you go, man. And then I went around and filmed it, obviously. And then when I got shot in Somalia, he flew out, obviously, because that was quite interesting. And that was it, really. And then I just filmed it. I got back and we took it to Travel Channel, and they watched about 30 seconds of it, and then they bought the whole series. So it was really lucky, man.
Basically, folks, I was just a way to say, what's your name, where'd you come from, what you do, and you've pretty much heard the first chunk of it right there from Spencer. Wow, that sort of sums up part of what you guys have been up to, doesn't it? Very quickly, there's so much we can talk about there. Essentially, you guys are motorcycle overland travellers. Spencer, you circumnavigated Africa. You've now done South America, haven't you? You're going through Central America at the moment. There were plans there, which we can get into in a sec. But you're now basically your long-term plan is to cover every single continent on the planet, isn't it? Circumnavigate every continent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for a few figures, we did. Africa was 34 countries, so it's every country that touches the water. So that was 55,345 k's in 9.5 months. Then Cathy and I did South and Central. So South is 13, Central 7. So that's 20 countries. And we did a little bit of a zigzag. So we ended up doing over 100,000 on that one. I've done all of Europe, but that was on different bikes, so it doesn't count. So as it stands officially, we have this bike. We've done those two continents, and Mexico, of course, which is a massive country, absolutely massive.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know, actually, Mexico's counted as part of North America. My ignorance there. So
is it?
Yeah, we've done Africa. Yeah, it's strange. I found that yesterday. So we've done Africa, South and Central, and basically Mexico. So yeah, as you said, the plan is to try and do every single continent. But it's the same. We're in the same problem as everybody else, man. I don't want to jump the gun, but we have other plans as well going south the way. But it just depends on what opens, because there's big problems with the borders.
Well, we'll cover that in a sec. But basically, everything that you've done that on is that the 660, Yamaha 660? Is that right, that you have? Yeah,
it's the 1008, 660, 2009. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, people ask me about adaptations and that. The only thing I did was I put a pebble on the bottom of the footrest with duct tape, just to make it a bit wider, and Cathy on the back to make it a lot heavier. So... those are the only adaptations that we've made. And in Chile, I'll tell the truth. In Chile, we met the Dakar team, the Chilean mechanics of the Dakar team. And as a present, we'd done 105,000 by then. He said, I'll fit a Raptor 700 quad engine as a present for you guys.
Wow.
So I was like, and I'll tune up your bike.
They did a beautiful job.
It was amazing. It was like a different bike. I mean, he tuned it correctly. I don't even, I'm not so well for that business. So it's not the original cylinder head, but the Raptor 700 quad is totally compatible.
Wow.
So yeah, we've got that. So it is a bit of a trigger spring, as Cathy said. But it's the same bike, and we want to try get it around every continent, that particular bike.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that the plan? Is just to keep using essentially the same bike? Awesome. Right. So the last time we spoke, 2019, you guys were heading to, you were going to go and try and cross the Darian Gap, weren't you? And you were going to set up your moto camp. Was that in South or Central America? You were planning to set that up?
That was in South America, in Ecuador. In a little place called Baños up in the mountains. It's absolutely beautiful there.
Yeah. Ecuador's stunning, isn't it? I love that place.
It's incredible.
It's an amazing place, and it was going really well, actually. We had Derek Reinhardt, you probably know him, I don't know, the Irish guy that traveled. Yeah. We had a whole group of those guys turn up, and in the first week we had 50 bikers, but our land wasn't big enough, and the woman next door wouldn't sell.
Decided not to sell.
Yeah. So it was brilliant. There was that, but also Cathy and I are absolutely useless at altitude. Some people can cope with it. I mean, she didn't eat for bloody 3-4 months, and it was actually affecting us. And it's only 3,000 and something meters, but we're not good over 2.5. I don't know why. Some people, born to be mountain climbers.
Yeah.
It took us 3 tries to get to Death Road, because you have to go over 3,000 meters. And the first time we went over, Cathy clapped me on the back of the head. She was like, "You're riding rubbish." I was like, "What are you talking about?" But it's the altitude. It makes you act odd, and you don't really realize it. It's not just the breathing and all that. It's your decision making. So some people it does nothing, but there was a girl who died. I remember.
23 years old. We met her the night before, and they went on a hiking trip the next day.
And she just died.
Wow.
24, and she was a professional. She was going to the Olympics. So, I mean,
God, so fit and healthy.
Totally fit and healthy. And
I was just going to say, every time you go up, it's a different experience. It's never the same. So you never know how your body's going to react. You've just got to be, quite careful.
And get down. Yeah.
But we didn't know enough about altitude. We were just riding the bike, from ground level to 3,000 meters in a day. So we messed us lungs up a little bit.
Yeah, we didn't do any of the acclimatizing. And if you do it really fast, I mean, the headache is the worst, because it's real, one of those. Yeah. But it's the ability to ride the bike. That's the biggest problem. So, just if anyone's listening, if they feel a bit funny at altitude, it's really a good idea to get back down. and just give yourself time, because you think you're making the right decision. But Cathy was correct. I was riding badly.
You don't realise what you're doing.
I was just a way to say, I don't think I went anywhere particularly high when I was doing South America, but I don't ever remember feeling any effects of it. But as you said, you probably wouldn't even recognise it, would you? If you're by yourself, you just plod on.
Yeah. Did you go through Peru?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Chile, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, and then up into Central and through that way.
Okay. So you must have done some altitude, but like you say, you didn't really feel it. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, didn't notice it.
I think people were thinking that we were a bit soft at times, but it actually wasn't. It wasn't the case.
Mate, you can't argue with your body, can you? You know, there's certain things that's, as you said, it's your genes. It's just nature for you, isn't it? That's the way it is.
Well, we went up to 4,700 meters in one day, and we spent a night up there. We got pleurisy from
Jesus. Did you?
So that's what's actually gave us problems. I mean, it's okay now, but I mean, it gave us problems as we were traveling through altitude. So I think that's what affected us most of the time.
Yeah. God, that's serious stuff, pleurisy.
Yeah, it is, man. But talking about health issues, I had one here recently, and we don't need to travel to have issues, but I'll just tell you really quickly if that's all right, man. I had a crash. I went up 12 stairs.
No way.
Year.
You?
Yeah, and I know, unbelievable. And I think I don't know, maybe looking at a beautiful girl or something, and I didn't know where I was going, and I planted the bike straight into, basically into a wall. And I flew up in the air, and I landed on the petrol tank with my meat and 2 veg. And one of them's, I've had problems with it since, so I'm just trying to sort out an operation. So I went to the clinic here. Cathy needed just a general checkup. So I took a translation. My Spanish isn't too hot. So I took this translation in, and I said, I'd like to book an appointment for my wife. And I handed it. And she was looking at it. There was 2 other women behind looking over, and she said, okay, so your wife has a problem with her testicle. I'm like, oh, sorry, man, wrong note. That's actually me. Wife just wanted to check up. I do apologize. My Spanish isn't too hot. So,
brilliant.
So anyway, just so the viewers know all the details, I strangled my testicle, so I need to have an operation.
We don't want to know.
Oh, what, you still have it? You've still got
that. I've still got it. I've still got both of them. Why? Do you want it off already? Yeah, I've had it over a year, man.
You've had strangled nuts for over a year?
Yeah, it's like sitting on a cushion at the moment. A sore cushion.
Forget the beer. Have a whiskey or something. Jeez.
No, it's actually worse than that, Bruce. I've actually crushed something inside. So, they need to work on that as well. So it's ridiculous. Yeah, so sorry about this, guys. But for all the men, they will go, ooh, and all the women will hopefully go, shame, I'll stroke it for you.
Every bloke listening to this is currently crossing their legs, aren't they? Holding their breath.
Yeah, and they won't ride again, will they?
Oh my God, no. Have you been riding with that as well?
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, dirt roads.
You're a lunatic. Yeah. And surfing?
No, it's all right. Yeah, I stand up and Cathy holds onto my hips from behind. So.
I was wondering what you were going to say there.
Yeah, no, onto my hips. Yeah, no, holds onto my hips. But yeah, I mean, that's the way it goes, man. I mean, I get lost in my own kitchen. I fall off chairs. So I've got Cathy here. Yeah, loads and loads of injuries.
Folks, you've probably gathered by now what the tone of the conversation that's going to be going on for the next while. How about, I mean, there's so much we can chat about, guys. How about we crack on with questions? Because obviously, as you'd expect, there are so many questions, and that will just open up a whole new can of worms and different routes that we can go down in the convo. So first off, we'll go to Patreon, as always, patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Clive Goodwin. A question for Spencer, Cathy and yourself. In all your travels all over the world, has there been one person you've met who still to this day sticks out in your mind for their kindness, weirdness or bizarreness, and why? Well, that's a good question. God, you guys must have met so many people.
Do you want to go first or I go first?
Yeah, I met a girl called Johanna. She was riding around South America on her bicycle, but she was a mountaineer, and she had an amazing story. It was basically a friend of hers that was climbing with her died on the mountain, and it was the story of them getting her body off the mountain and all the stuff that she had to go through, and just the strength and the positivity, and she was just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
and she was traveling solo.
She was traveling solo. I think trying to get away from her demons from that, but she was an amazing woman. Yeah, she always stand out. Yeah. Her character, she's just amazing.
But she also, I think it was more her positivity towards life.
She's an inspiration.
Definitely. I mean, what was her, do you remember what her name was? Sorry, what was her name?
Johanna Janklaus, her name was.
Okay, and she got a blog or YouTube or social media, or can people follow her?
No, she doesn't. She hasn't actually made it a public story. I think it's something that she's still dealing with. But she's on my Facebook.
So she's a great woman, yeah.
Great story, so inspirational. Yeah.
But as far as
I was just going to say, the people that you meet, the variety of people you meet when you sort of overland travel, that as you said there, Cathy, some people have incredible reasons, meanings behind what they're doing, and other people are just they're just hitting the road to see what's out there. It's so varied.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met an English guy. At 5,000 meters on a bicycle, and he'd been traveling for 7 years. And he'd been to 180 countries. I mean, he was just solid as a brick. A little guy, but tough as nails.
Amazing.
But for me, brief encounters, to answer that guy's questions of who you remember, I was in Egypt, and I wanted to go to this place called the Qatari Depression. And it's into the Sahara, so I got an extra 10 liters in my little bag, and another 10 liters of petrol on my front, and the 23 liters in the tank, and I headed into the desert, and I ran out of petrol, so I waited there for a day, and then a guy turned up on a camel, as he does in Glasgow or whatever, and he was like, "Hey, I'll help you out, man. I'll go and get fuel." And I waited the whole night, and that's 2 nights I was there. And then the next day he turned up with his son on a little 125 with a 15-liter drum of petrol. And then he drove me out and showed me the way back to the main route, and he didn't want anything at all. And that was it. My other one that was almost exactly the same but gets the hairs going was in the desert. These 4 guys came up to me with machine guns. And I swear to God, it's on my channel. You can check it out. There is a guy with an eye patch and a hawk on his shoulder.
And a hawk.
Arab gear. And a hawk. So it was ludicrous. So they came up to me. I was like, oh dear, okay, here we go. They were incredible, man. I'd been in that desert for days. I'd never seen a tree. They said, oh, we're going to cook up some food. One of the guys disappeared. He came back with a bloody log. No idea where he got it from. And they made this. It was amazing. They made this meal. And out of nothing, really, and it was bloody excellent. And then we all slept under the stars because, you don't need your tent. And when I woke up, those guys were gone, but they left a little piece of cardboard in the sand next to where I was sleeping with "thank you" written on it.
Amazing.
That was amazing. Yeah, there's
I love
kind of
that.
things.
I love that about overland travel in proper sort of remote places where people have nothing. They don't have the the possessions that we sort of measure success by, do they? But they are some of the most open, giving, and nicest people you'll ever meet in your life, and they don't expect anything for it, do they? And it's hard to describe that unless you've experienced it.
Yeah, tell me about Bolivia and Salah. Those guys helping.
I know you can tell. Yeah.
Okay, very briefly, just this guy's question again. We crashed on the Salar at 80 kilometers an hour. Surprise, surprise. The whole tire came off. It's never happened to me in 40 years. It didn't just burst. The whole bloody thing came off the rim. So I'm cruising along, sliding fast, thinking I'm doing really well here. Again, I get hit on the back of the head. When are we going to stop? I'm like, Cathy, we're like going to crash and die here. So we pulled it together, but we've been stupid because there's the north-south bit and the east-west bit where everyone goes in the cellar.
Yeah.
But I said to Cathy, let's just go where there's nobody so we can just really film. That's where we had the blowout. So we left everything there, our panniers, everything. And we headed back to the island and we met these Peruvian guys. And it took us 3 days. Those guys had been working there for 30 years. It took us 3 days to find the stuff. And one morning, Cathy was sitting having a cup of tea and she went, I think it's that way. And they went, yeah. And we drove off, and lo and behold, within an hour of driving, we saw this little dot in the distance, and it was our cameras and our panniers and our tent and everything. And these guys were like jumping in the air, hugging me as though it was like their stuff that they'd lost. And when we got back, I said to them, listen, let's just pretend that we didn't find anything. Keep a poker face when we arrive to Cathy. So we're driving towards Cathy, and they just jump up. We've got it! Like this. And they were hugging her and everything. And then I was like, how much do you guys want, man? 3 days, Bruce. Nothing.
Bruce,
Nothing at all.
Bruce, it only took 3 days because they didn't listen to me. I was left behind with this old lady sitting on the cellar. None of us could speak to each other, but we were having a great time laughing at these lot. Yeah. And I kept telling them, it's over there. It's in that direction. They would not listen to me.
That's meant for you.
How did you know? Like, was it? How did you know where it was?
The cellar was wonderful. No, there was a mountain. You know, I spotted this mountain.
What, a mountain in South America? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was just a particular shape in this particular mountain, but it was great. Yeah. It was great. So that answers that guy's questions. And it's like you said just now, Bruce, it's those brief meetings with people that don't have anything, and you actually remember them forever. You don't definitely have a full relationship. You haven't spent time getting to know them a lot, but it's just such a golden meeting. And you also hope that they remember it too, in a way.
Yeah, but I mean, definitely. It is one of the best things about traveling. It's those brief encounters that you have. And then also after traveling, for a certain period of time, you don't see those differences anymore. You don't see the poverty. You don't see, and that's the best part of it.
Yeah, especially when you stay in Brazil.
When you realize everyone's the same.
We stayed in the favelas in Brazil. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, there was a guy he knew us on Facebook, and he got in touch. He had a bike, but he was from a very, very, very poor district. But he gave us his house and his pit bull, and said, "You guys stay there. The pit bull will look after you." And we were a bit about that pit bull. But anyway, we unfortunately we nearly burnt his whole house down.
Oh, go on, how? Do tell.
Okay. So we turn up at this house, and this pit bull decides he loves Spencer, but he wants to eat me. Okay, so he was supposed to be locked away that night.
Not me.
But Spencer never locked him out. He left the gate open so the dog could come into the house. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we had one of those mosquito coils, that you burn them. I don't know if you've ever known. And we left it next to a roll of toilet paper on this counter, and it all caught alight. And how it happened was...
It felt like to the TV and the wardrobe.
But this dog jumped on top of me in the dark with its face in my face to wake me up with this fire. And myself and this dog were running up and down like crazy, getting rid of the fire and all this rubbish. Spencer slept through the whole thing.
No way.
He did. He slept through the whole thing. There, I was absolutely, I was so scared of this dog, and he was running around after me. He's about as big as me.
Yeah.
And at the end, we're sitting there, and he still looked like he wanted to eat me. And I just went, Connor, you saved our life. You're such a good puppy. And that was it. He was all over me.
I was going to say, what was he like?
Spencer eventually, after all the action, Spencer woke up, and I was hugging the dog on the bed. We were lying there.
But we obviously, the guy didn't fine, man. We burnt his TV, we burnt his wardrobe, and all that. Yeah, it was a proper fire.
Oh my God.
He was cool. He was cool about it. He said, like, mistakes happen. I mean, we would have burnt down the whole favela and had to do a runner or something. So it was quite lucky, man. I offered him some money that we didn't have, but he didn't want any.
What was it like then in the favelas?
It was fantastic.
It was wonderful. We went out at night to walk around, and it was really, really quiet. I can't explain. It was dead quiet. And the little street, I mean, it's very clean. You know, they keep it all really nice. And then you've got someone will open a little restaurant, but it's just one plastic table and 2 chairs. But, you know, that's what they've got. And
that's great.
There's this whole community going on in there, and it's really, really nice. You know?
We did go to one, we were filming in one called the Barrio of No Return. So, I mean, that bloody says it in itself, doesn't it? So what this is, it's a barrio of naked people. So a lot of them. So they stand at bus stops, the prostitutes and that, and they're totally naked. And they're standing next to a businessman with his briefcase and all this, you know?
Wow.
So I was like, this is really like interesting. We've got to go in and check this place out. So we went there.
I bet you did.
Yeah, I had to check the ins and outs of the place. So anyway.
Just research. It's research.
It is research, very vital. And we decided not to take the bike. So we went in a taxi and Cathy was filming, but we got spotted. And the next time we turned up, a guy just stopped in front of the car and he pulled out a gun, leant in, and he said, "What are you doing?" And the taxi driver spoke to him and it was fine. Absolutely brilliant after that. And he jumped in the back. And we had run of the place for ages. But then on one particular day, it was in the mid-afternoon. We were coming back from one of the shops in the corner of the favela, and we got attacked by 5-6 people. That guy tried to stab me in the head, and I managed to grab the knife and I punched him. Cathy was held by 3 people. They were going through her pockets and everything. I punched this guy. He fell down. I stepped backwards into like an 80-year-old man to avoid this guy that was attacking me, and the old man fell down and split his head open.
Oh.
Cathy was in the meantime with these others. They got nothing off us, and they were just going, mobile phone. Cathy was like, I don't have one. But the amazing thing was, there was a guy like Ali G there as well. He had like a tracksuit on, and he was like behind going, no, they're getting mugged. And then as these guys were running off, this crazy woman, she goes, oi. So the guy stops and he looks back and she says, "Give me the keys for my room. You don't need the keys for my room." The guy was like, dropped the keys in the road and ran off. I was like, Cathy.
Wow.
But yeah, that was a situation. They were not Colombians. It was they were new faces in the town. So we were known in that favela, and it was all good.
So it was just purely a robbery, purely a mugging. That was all that was.
Yeah, we actually, in the barrio, we spent 2 months there originally when I got blood poisoning. And then when we got mugged was when we went back, and they, you know, we knew the community. It was really nice. They were actually very good to us. And when we got there, they warned us that there were new kids in town, and they were literally kids, you know. I had actually met the one, his name was Johnny Dollar.
Johnny Dollar.
Yeah, so typical Colombian name.
It was Johnny Dollar's friends that tried to rob us.
Nice.
And you could tell their age because they were so shocked that we didn't have mobile phones. It was pathetic, you know. Anyway. They couldn't put me up.
They tried to hold you like that and pick you up, but I mean, we're not little people. They're like, they couldn't pick us up. So they're just like, we'll just go through your pockets quickly. You know?
Yeah.
I saved us, yeah.
Moving from here, we're going to another place. The vibe's bad. So she looked for a room on the internet, booked it, taxi turned up. We gave him the address. The taxi driver looked at us a bit weirdly, and he drove around the block and stopped. And he went, "Here's your room." In a city with 5 million people, Cathy booked a room where we were overlooking our muggers.
I love you too. I love you too.
Isn't that crazy, man?
Awesome. Wow. Good God. I mean, even in that alone, there's so much we can talk about, isn't there? Because you had a really bad situation. I mean, getting mugged like that's bad enough, but you guys had a really bad situation, didn't you? Where you were basically, was it the old Bill were working with a gang, and they did take you at one point, didn't they?
Yeah, you're talking about Panama, hey?
Panama, that was it. Yeah. I was so surprised because Panama was, 2014 I was in Panama, and it was lovely. There was no issue, but I've heard a lot about that place now.
The way I look at it, I don't want to tar the country, because as you know, all countries are cool, man.
True,
people are individuals. True. It was a group. I mean, to cut a long story short, I got all the papers I needed. I needed the final paper. I went to the lady. I gave it to her. She went, yeah, you're free to go. She took all the papers, handed them back. I drove off. We got stopped 2 k's later by 3 guys, customs. And they said, can we have paper B317? And I went, yeah, sure, no worries. It wasn't there. She had taken it, phoned through. Okay, so, I mean, we've never been asked that before. They never do. It's either passport or bike papers or whatever, not this particular. So I was like, And then immediately they said, take the bike. And they pulled my bike and they put it into a warehouse while we were standing on the road. And then they split me and Cathy up. And then they took me into a room and they said, we want $3,000 for your motorbike. That's the only way we're going to release it. So I said, no. Do you know what they did, man? They brought another 2 guys in and they locked the door. And I thought, okay, this is it. This is where I get the beating. Yeah. So Cathy saved us, man. She said, can we use the phone? And to call her about the money, wasn't it? Yeah, you go.
Yeah, no, I said to him, that's fine, I'll pay you your $3,500. And I gave him my bank card, my credit card. And he said, no, we need cash, which I knew anyway. It was obvious. But I said to him, okay, well, I can't draw out that much cash. I need to phone my bank to confirm it. So can I use your phone? And he said yes. And they were all pleased with themselves. So I phoned the British Embassy.
Wow.
Who then on his phone, so the British Embassy, after I gave him the phone back, called him back immediately, and he knew they were.
And then they were angry.
Oh, yeah, what might not have been a good thing to do.
It was 4 days then after that. So then they let us go, but they wouldn't let the bike go because they thought something, but they still wanted to try. So we got to a room. As we were standing by our room, these guys came past in a big truck with machine guns, checking us out and everything. And Cathy phoned up Greg Turp. I don't know if you know Greg. And,
I've seen the name. Yeah, he's commented quite a lot.
And they organised the bike, and these bikers came and surrounded our room and protected us.
Actually, I was going to say what was absolutely wonderful is that they were on the phone with us all night. We were getting threatened constantly. They tried to arrest us when we went out to get food.
They tried to arrest me for shoplifting. The whole thing was a total scam. I said to Cathy, wait here, we need food, it's dangerous, huh? And then I went into the supermarket, paid for my food, and as I walked out, they said, oh, no, you didn't pay for that, you're under arrest. So I said, no, the receipts
the shop said that.
Yeah, the shop said that. The receipts in the bin said, no, we're not looking in the bin. And it was constant. I'm sorry, I just need to correct something. Greg Turk was the one who was on the phone with us and helping us the whole time.
Gotcha.
Other guys that brought the bikers, yeah. So then what else happened? Oh, so then they came and told us that there was a criminal gang that had targeted us and that we needed to get out of there. And who were those people? Customs.
They were customs. They weren't a criminal gang.
Okay, so
customs had decided they could make some money out of you.
Yeah,
wow. We don't really know. It was so weird, Bruce.
I remember. I followed. Yeah, I was following your postings on. I think it was Facebook or Insta. I think it was Facebook. Yeah, I was following the postings there, and it was just like, what a roller coaster. I mean, God, I don't know about you lot, but I was shitting it, and I felt exhausted when you got out. When you finally got free from it, and I was like, oh my God.
It took us a long time to actually get over it.
I bet. Yeah, I bet.
think we were a little bit.
I agree. Yeah.
Is that the first time anything to that degree has happened? You know, anything that's been as protracted. We find ourselves in situations when you're overlanding where it's like an instant oh shit moment, isn't it? But generally you get out of it and you can move on. But I've never had anything, certainly last days, like that. For me, the worst thing for me was Mauritania being taken and held. But it was just similar to what happened with you. It's just a gang were working with the police, and when we got to the Rosso border, basically the police sort of handed us over to a gang, and they took us. It was me and this South African chap, Robert. They took us to a concrete room and kept us for a few hours, did the good cop, bad cop thing to try and get as much money out of us as they possibly could. And, you know, I think that in total, that was probably about 4 hours, 5 hours. It felt like a month, but it was only 4 or 5 hours. For you, like, that went on for days, didn't it, what you had?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it was the extent, it was the 4 days. It was a nasty, nasty situation. And I mean, actually, when they came and said, you've been targeted by a gang, you've got to leave, they brought an armed truck and they saw us to the border. And we didn't even do our stamps and all that business. It was just go. So, you know, they got us out of there. But so it's all a bit of a fog when things like this happen, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I just want to point out, you know, it's not the group of guys, the people that got us out were actually working for the Panama government. They were the military, the Adouane, the police. They were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So it was, even though these guys were with the Adouane or, you know, they were real. They were working for the people, but they were a little bit dodgy.
Yeah.
And, but it was the Panamanians that eventually got us out in the end. So, you know, nothing against them at all.
No, nothing.
Absolutely.
We're going back anyway, Bruce. We have to go back to get through the Darian. Yeah.
Through Darian. I was going to say then, we'll move on to that. So the Darian challenge, basically anyone that's listening, if you've never heard of the Darian Gap, it's about 100 miles, isn't it? If you imagine a road coming from North and Central America all the way down, well, there's a road called the Pan American Highway, which effectively links up the whole continent. But there's a little stretch of about 100 miles that's impenetrable jungle, isn't it? They've not connected that bit yet, and it's known as the Darian Gap. So that's the bit when you're travelling that you either fly over or you jump on the boats and do like a 4, 5, 6 day sort of byway, if you like. You just jump, use the sea basically to do it. But you guys, you were going to ride it, weren't you?
We are going to now. We'll never
Awesome.
give up on that one. It's basically it's a complex situation because you've got the FARC rebels, you've also got militia, you've got people smugglers, and you've got drug smugglers, and you've got the Kuna traditional Indians, and then other Indian tribes. So
And the CIA.
the first thing that we had,
yeah,
and those guys as well. But the thing is, you need to get all the permission, and we were so depressed because we actually got it. We got a letter from the head of the Darian, the governor of the Darian, allowing us to go through. We sent a deposit to the Kuna Indians. We're still talking to the guy. He's organized the boat for us. We need a canoe and we need porters because we need to go up a 3,000-meter mountain that's made of mud. So we need winches for that and we need porters for that. So it'll be a combination of riding when you can, winching when you can, and carrying it when you can.
Or a boat.
We've also got a section of mangrove, and the mangrove is obviously, you know what mangroves are like, you've seen them. They're very difficult to get through. So we'll get the bike on a canoe there. Then you get to that mountain. Once you're over that mountain, that's the worst part over. But I mean, to do...
then you go into dangerous.
Then you go into a dodgy area before you come out in the south. But I mean, 100 kilometers in like a few weeks, not a few days.
Yeah.
I would call it an expedition.
It certainly is.
But to be quite honest, when we were in Venezuela, Spencer actually drove into the Darian through the jungle with a bunch of chaps anyway. There was no border there. So he's been on the motorbike.
Wow. I mean, there's all sorts
on Colombia side.
There's all sorts of stories, isn't there, about the Darian Gap that, it's, well, not stories, it's fact. It's used as a drug trafficking route. There's allegedly there's like hostile local people that are in there. There's all sorts, isn't it? It's a kidnap route. There's all sorts. But there are a couple of people that have done it, isn't there? There's people that have done it on foot. There's one chap that did it. There's one guy did it in a truck, didn't he? Did he manage to get an adventure
friend
truck?
Of ours. Yeah, there's
very few people that have actually been through the real Darian. There are different routes to go, and a lot of people go on a boat along the coast. There's also a walking route, which is further in, but we have to go
through the centre.
The centre, and
wow.
Patricia Upton and
Lauren Upton
were the first to do that in Land Rovers.
Wow.
In 1970 and then in 1990s again, I think it was.
And then Helga Pedersen, obviously, in 76, I think, on his bike. And then Lauren took a Rokon. Do you know those bikes? It's like really, really fat tires. A Rokon. So it's suitable for them. They've done it. Look, Bruce, obviously people cross the Darian because, immigrants are doing it, smugglers are doing it and that sort of thing. But it's a case of, because we're circumnavigating every continent, I don't want to cheat and leave a gap. So to me, it feels like the Darian is you've got to go through it. If you get that Stalrat boat, then you haven't circumnavigated every continent. You can tell people you have, but you haven't.
We already went through the whole of the Amazon. We went through the centre anyway. So
this will be no bother. You'll do this, no props.
Now, how's this one, Bruce? We did the world's longest detour. When we got to Venezuela, because Venezuela's closed, when we got to Venezuela, we had to get to Colombia, and that would have been our circumnavigation finished. It was 200 kilometers from Bogota, and we spent 3 weeks trying to get our bike through, but they don't allow vehicles for the last 5 years, so we could walk through. But I needed a tire, so if we were going to go back. So I went over and I bought a tire in Colombia, but you're not allowed to bring new products into Venezuela. So I put it in a ditch and I covered it in mud. And I walked across the bridge to customs, and the Colombian said, "Excuse me, man, you've dipped that brand new tire in a ditch and you're trying to fool us. Go back." So I was like, all right, man, it was worth a try. And I went back to Venezuela, and there was a guy with one leg. And he came up to me and he was like, hopped up to me. He was like, I can smuggle that for you. I was like, how are you going to smuggle it for me? And he said, no, I'll go under the bridge. I'll hop through. He didn't say hop. I'll go through the jungle. I'll go through the river and I'll come out the other side. So I was like, cool, man. So he stuck it over his neck and he hopped off. We went back to Venezuela and he came up on the other side like, yeah, like this. And he had my tire. And he was waving to the Colombian customs and everything. So anyway, the reason for that was we needed a tire because we were doing a 12,000 kilometer detour because we had to go all the way back.
12,000 kilometers?
12,000, yeah. And then we went all the way through the whole of the Amazon, the center of the Amazon on the BR-319. It's called the Ghost Road because they built it in 1976 to join Peru and, try and get trade with Brazil. But they never, ever fixed it after that. So it's just potholes joining potholes, and there's trees and mud. Do you know Lisa? Wow. Lisa and Simon Thomas? That's where Simon Thomas broke his back, where he fell off a bridge.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He broke his back, man. There's like 25 bridges, and they're these wooden rickety bridges. When we went, they'd been fixed. But when Simon and Lisa went, they were in a bad way, and he fell through one of the bridges on his motorbike. And on the impact on landing, he broke his back. So Lisa had to tow him out. So, yeah, this is an incredible road. It's like he's okay now. You've met him. He recovered. He wasn't paralyzed because it didn't break the central nervous column, obviously. It cracked the vertebrae. But that's a broken back. But, yeah, this road is unbelievable. It's 880 kilometers of nothing.
I bet it is stunning.
Sloths and absolutely amazing. But on that route, I got a lot of the slap on the back again, on the back of the head, because I had malaria and I didn't know it. But every day we were riding through the Amazon, I was saying to Cathy, I feel a bit sick. She was like, I need a real man, not a wimp. So I rode for 2 weeks with malaria. And then when we arrived in Peru, we arrived in Peru, I just collapsed in the street. And then this like traditional healer dude with long hair and everything came and he rubbed this lotion all over me and I felt really cool. And I went to hospital there, 5 days with malaria, and then off we went again. So but the Amazon was amazing. But malaria makes you feel very, very tired. Yeah.
I got dengue fever. I remember getting that.
Oh wow.
In sort of coming through, I think it was Indonesia. Yeah, that wasn't pleasant. Definitely not nice. And
it's very similar to malaria, isn't it?
I just felt totally wiped out. And I had that sort of fatigue. To be honest, I don't think that fatigue's ever left me. But I remember for a good couple of weeks in Indonesia, I just felt, just done. Like I wanted to sleep and it was coming out all ends. It was horrible. It wasn't pleasant.
No, absolutely, man. I mean, it's like it's the headache, and I think what you just said, you've got no batteries there. You've just got no power. You're just weak. Yeah.
When I got back to the UK, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
When I got back home to the UK, I had to, for my old job in the old bill, used to carry the gun, so you had to get a firearms license, a yearly fitness test. And I remember doing the fitness test, and I failed the beep test, and it wasn't particularly hard for us, and it wasn't something I'd ever really struggled with. So I remember thinking, oh well, I've sat on my bum for the last year and a half on a motorbike. It's my own fault. I'll do some training. And I remember the more training I was doing, the more tired I was getting. And anyone that's done the beep test, I was struggling to get to like level 3, which is walking. It's a walking pace. And I thought, well, this isn't right. So I went to the doctors and just said, I'm not feeling great here. Something's not right. And he attached the old heart monitor to me, and it turns out I developed an erratic heartbeat whilst I was away. And he said that may be possibly an offshoot of the dengue fever. Might have caused it. So who knows? So I got the old zap. And that was it. They zap you. The defibrillator.
Bloody hell, man.
Yeah, they just stopped the... Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say the long-distance travel on the motorbike does give you a bit of wear and tear yourself.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You have to keep up exercising or doing something, to keep together, because it does. You don't realise it.
Yeah. You guys have been on the road. I mean, I know you've been back to the UK a couple of times and stuff, but I mean, how long now is that you guys have been effectively on the road travelling?
The first trip started in 2009.
Yeah.
So that was the Africa one. But I mean, we have been back to England. It hasn't been constant. So it hasn't been constant travelling. I mean, South and Central took
this trip is since 2016.
Yeah. So 5 years in South America, South and Central.
Wow.
And then a year and a half or something in England. Yeah. In Africa. So
it's a wonderful continent to travel. Everywhere, from Australia to here.
I don't like to have regrets in life, but I do regret not spending longer in South America, because it was just amazing. The people were so nice. There's so much to see. There's so much, even in the bits I did, Chile, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, there's so much to see that I didn't do. I was just focused. I want to get to the States, I've got to get through. And I really wish I'd spent longer exploring and really getting to know the place. You can go back, but will I? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh, we were there a year and a half and I still want to go back.
Yeah, that's amazing.
What you said about, white line fever, where people just want to cover the miles and that. That's why I have this saying that I say every single talk. It's day by day, border by border, nothing lasts forever. And the reason I say that is because that's for the positive and the negative. So if you're having an absolutely amazing day, appreciate it. If you're having a terrible day, it's day by day, border by border, nothing lasts forever. It's going to change. So the good things will change, the bad things will change, but you just got to keep going. And that's how I always look at it. If we're having a bit of a tough time, I always say I annoy her. I always go, nothing lasts forever, Cathy. But it's true, eh? You know, so it's a way of getting through tough times. And borders, it's like borders. People get so freaked out about borders. Yeah. They get so upset. We love them. You just have to go, right, I'm approaching a border. It's going to take 11 hours. That's life. If it takes an hour, it takes an hour. And then it's a bonus. But you meet really cool people at border. Hey, man, this one guy we got to the Ecuador border, and he said to us, right, okay, we handed our passports over and that. And he said, wait a minute. And he walked across the road. He took all his clothes off. He got a hose pipe, all his clothes off. He got a hose pipe over a tree, got some soap, started lathering himself up, washed himself, looking at me and Cathy all the time. And then he got in this rusted car in the mirror, did his hair and everything, put his clothes back on, came back and was like, okay, I can do your passports now. We were like, okay, bit of an exhibitionist.
Everyone was laughing.
No, everyone was laughing. But then when we got to the next place, so you got the other side of the border, across the bridge, we got there and the guy was in like a Hawaiian shirt and he was dancing and stuff, like doing our passport like this. And he said, it was 8 a.m. He said, no, it's lunchtime. I can't do your bike papers yet. I was like, you what? So he disappeared. There was one little hut at the border where this woman was serving a bit of food. And he just stayed there. So after an hour and a half, Cathy and I, like every bloody tourist, you get hungry and thirsty. So you're like, okay, we'll go over there. It's his wife. So obviously what he does is, he just keeps everybody waiting. If you buy a sandwich and a Coca-Cola, you'll get your stamp. So we had the naked guy, one guy, and this dancing fellow on the other one.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say the best borders are those little ones that you go to, like the really little ones in the jungles or something, where there's only a hut or, they're the best borders, honestly. You meet characters there. At the DRC border, Democratic Republic of Congo, I went through the middle of there. Everyone goes on the coast. And the road I had a Michelin map because I don't carry GPS. We still don't have one. I had a map on me, Michelin map. And I went through this route, which was marked, and it disappeared. And it just became a track. And eventually I had to cut my way through with a machete. And I did 10 kilometers. Yeah, I did 10 kilometers in 11 hours. And I came out to this clearing, and there was like a hut there. And there was a guy sitting there. He nearly fell off his bloody chair. This like 6'4" white guy covered in mud. And I came through. He was like, where have you come from, man? And I said, Makela de Zomba. And I heard the sentence that every adventurer ever wants to hear. He said, no one's been through here for 3 years or so.
Oh, no.
I was like, yeah. So then he comes to stamp, right? He's got his uniform and everything. He comes to stamp my passport. I've got the passport here. And it dried up like years ago, the passport stamp. So he was like, it's not working. So he said, don't worry, I'll fix it. So he wrote in my passport, Mr. Spencer Conway is allowed to pass.
Wow.
I was like, is this going to get me through, man?
Yeah.
So, and it did. So that guy's probably still sitting there like now, 5 years later, waiting for the next idiot to come through. But that was an amazing experience.
Man, that's stunning. This story. Sorry, go on, Cathy.
We went through many little jungle towns, like places that weren't even recorded on the maps and stuff because we were just finding these places. And we were actually in towns where people ran away from us because they had never seen an outsider.
It was great.
Wow.
It was really strange. We stopped in this one town and this lady put a little table and chair outside for us in a little town square. I mean, it was literally a little square and some shops and houses around, and that was it. And she put out a table and, she brought us some coffee and she was being very polite. And we said to her, do you get tourists here? Have you seen any tourists? went, not in 30 years. And
Wow.
just cracked up
She
laughing.
did say that. She said a guy and his wife came here 30 years ago.
Wow.
So it was,
And Amazon also, man, it's like those cool films. You'll be going along and you'll see like a shape in the trees, but you don't see the people, man. It's fantastic. I mean, I'm not saying they had feathers and everything, but it was like the traditional Indians and amazing people.
that's when
Sorry, there's this delay. I know. I know you
right.
documented the Africa part for the Travel Channel. Are you doing the same for South America, Central America?
Yeah,
Awesome.
the South and Central America one's been sold to airlines at the moment, believe it or not, man. Isn't that weird?
Wow.
Yeah, the one that Cathy filmed. Yeah, 18 airlines now. So no one's traveling. No one's going to see my program.
I know. I was just about to say, what a nightmare.
Yeah. Or else they're going to see programs of us getting malaria and getting shot, and then they're going on holiday, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know why the airlines picked up on that. So yeah, we got Ethiopian Airlines. Just the weirdest people have bought it. Yeah.
Yeah, I must just explain part of the filming. When Spencer had malaria in Peru, he was completely, gone mentally. So they put him in his own room.
Did you notice, Cathy? Did you notice?
Oh, no, not at all. But you know what I did do, Bruce? I left the camera with him.
Brilliant. That footage must be gold.
He did some diary kids. I can't wait to show you.
Listen, Bruce. Listen. When she got blood poisoning in Colombia, she called me in, and she was like, "Everybody here is South African. That family over there, that sick guy over there, that guy. I don't like any of them." I was like, "Cathy, there are no South Africans here."
Never mind, I am South African. I don't know why.
You're in a Colombian hospital. And then the next time I went to visit, she wasn't there. So I said to the nurse, "Where's Cathy?" She said, "I don't know, man. She's gone for a walk." So I was like, she said, "I'll help you search." It's a big hospital, eh? So we walked down and we found Cathy in this random room pulling these 2 drips along, going, "I'm not going back there. You don't know what they do to people." I was like, "Cathy, it's the morphine. It's the morphine. You need to pull yourself together." But she was on a drip for a month, eh?
Jeez, were you?
And when I went to the doctor said, "Listen, Mr. Conway, I've got to be honest with you. She's got a 50-50 chance of surviving." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, 4 days intensive care.
4 days intensive care, 30 days on a drip. Every
I didn't know
single
it was
day,
that bad.
2 nurses, twice a day. Oh, it's awful.
And that's why we stayed in that place in Bogota for 2 months. It was because of that.
Yeah, we don't know how it happened.
I had no idea it was that bad. God.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it because they were great. I mean, they are unbelievable. The doctors are unbelievable, weren't they? I mean, they saved her life. But when he said that sentence to me, I just thought she was a bit sick, like you do. And when he said I was 50-50 because blood poisoning is very severe, it goes to your whole body. It's taken her about 2 years to recover.
God.
No, I'm going to jump in again about malaria. Another time I had malaria in Ghana. I've had it 5 times. But this particular one, I properly was hallucinating. And I was in a hut in Ghana. I didn't bother going to the hospital. But there was this really skinny black woman with an afro, and she dyed it white. And I thought that she was a giant cotton bud. And I thought that a cotton bud was looking after me. And I was just lying there, like looking at this woman bouncing around. That's how tripped out I was. And 5 days on that. I couldn't even get up, man. Sorry, viewers. But I had to turn around on the toilet so I could take the lid off the cistern and vomit in it and poop at the same time. And then I'd fall asleep. Then I'd fall asleep on the floor of the toilet and then crawl back up there. And that was how bad that one was. But the other malarias I loved.
Isn't traveling fantastic?
Actually, Bruce, I like malaria. It's a very strange disease because it changes the way you think. And I found it really, really interesting.
In what way? In what way?
Because you're not really there. You're kind of like, you're hallucinating, but you're having very strange thoughts. And each time I've had it, I've found it really interesting. I'm not saying you philosophize, but you kind of think a little bit differently. So the headache, I'm used to it now, and you just lie in bed. So yeah, I'm supposed to be putting people off it, but I quite like malaria.
Well, I don't know where he gets philosophy from. Because if you hear what he talks about, I don't know what the philosophy comes into.
Okay, the philosophy is in my head then.
Yeah. Malaria.
But if anything happens, I get it. So.
Once you have malaria, you never get rid of it, don't you? It's with you forever. Is that not right?
Yeah, it can lie dormant. Yeah, definitely. I was doing some construction work in London after the Africa trip to make some more money, obviously, and teaching in the evenings. And I was just driving one day to a site, and I just said to this guy, "I feel rough, man," and I'm quite tough, really. And I just said, "I got to go to hospital." And I went to hospital, and I got malaria and Tunbridge Wells. So, well, I didn't. It was a relapse.
Yeah.
So it lies dormant in your body, and if you get worn down or run down or whatever, it can attack again. So yeah, I'll always have it.
Yeah, my dad got malaria. My mum and dad lived in Nigeria before I was born. They lived out there for a couple of years, and my dad got malaria, and I always remember that from my dad, like my mum always saying, once you get it, you've always got it. He got pleurisy as well, funnily enough. Yeah, he's had that as well.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah. What was your dad doing in Nigeria work-wise?
He was working, oh God, now that would have been the late 60s, 70s. I can't remember if that was oil or if it was construction, but he's a quantity surveyor. So I don't know if it was in the oil or if it was in some sort of construction out there. Probably oil, I would think. But they moved from that. Yeah, they loved it. Both him and my mum both loved Nigeria at the time. Really loved living there. But then Mum fell pregnant with my brother, and she wanted him to be born back over in the UK. So they came back to they were living in Blackheath, I think, or Camberwell.
Oh yeah.
They came back here to have my brother, and then the M8 motorway kicked off, so my dad was involved in that in Prestwick Airport, so they moved up there, and then the oil kicked off in the North Sea, so my dad was involved in the St Fergus gas terminal and all the offshore oil rigs, and then I came along, so that was it, That was it.
We just watched an oil rig disaster movie yesterday.
Oh, what one's that?
What was it called? It's with Mark Wahlberg. Did you see it?
Yeah.
It's about
the
truth. It's the true story about the deep blue horizon. The oil rig off. I think it was off the north of Scotland, wasn't it? No, I'm not sure. Anyway, so
Deep Blue Horizon.
Did you get your Mexico? It was off the coast of Mexico. Yeah. But it was hectic. The whole thing burnt down. But to change the subject, did you get the travelling bug from your folks then, from your parents?
No, I don't think I did. I mean, my dad's. Looking back on it, maybe, because my dad in the oil industry has always worked all over the world, but he was a contractor, so he'd be in Iran for 4 years, home every sort of 3 months. He was off on the rigs, so he's home every 2 or 3 weeks. He's worked Russia, Norway, Kazakhstan. He's worked all over the place, Africa, but that never got
into your head. And heard him talk.
Yeah, maybe it did. It's not something I'd ever thought about, that it was because of my dad, but maybe it was. Maybe that is. Don't know.
Well, Bruce, if your parents sit in one town their whole life, they will be talking about that one town, won't they?
True.
But if they've travelled or something, you're going to hear snippets of conversations about other countries and other things that might sow a seed in your head. I mean, my parents definitely always travel.
Did they? My mum was the traveller, or she was the wannabe traveller, but hadn't really done it. She always said that she thought she had gypsy blood, because she always had that feeling that she wanted to go somewhere and she wanted to be on the move all the time. Yeah, so I always assumed I'd got it from her. I don't know. I've just realised we've answered one question in an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, man.
No, mate, it's awesome. I'm loving the conversation. But
Okay,
Clive,
so try some
thanks
more
for that
questions
question.
then. Get back on track.
Let's see if we can get through a few. Let's see how we get on. Right, next one, Dave Watrick. Question for all. Has there ever been a point on your travels where you've gone, oh shit, I'm in over my head here? I know you world travellers are a breed apart for calmness, but everyone has a limit. Now, we've touched on quite a bit of this, but is there anything that really sticks out where you've thought, oh, maybe I've overstepped the mark here?
It's a difficult one because, as you know,
There's
Bruce,
so many.
we're pretty stupid, eh? And we go on really bad roads, and we try and pick dodgy places, and we go to dodgy places because it's interesting. So, in over our heads, yeah. I once, for me, this is my personal one. We were riding to Pisa Road. That's from the Salar down south, and it's only sand. And I'd had too many beers the night before, and that's the only time I've ever driven like that. No, honestly, in my whole life, and I regret that day because I came off twice, and I shouldn't have come off. I nearly did my knee in. So yeah, I always remember that. Cathy said I wasn't, but I know that I had a hangover, and it wasn't correct riding.
We were going through a river of soft, fine sand and hitting rocks underneath it. So everyone crashes on that road.
But anyway, that's a funny answer to his question. I mean, obviously, you've got the kidnapping and when I got shot in Kenya, etc., etc. But you know, it's difficult to regret anything. But I regret that stupid move of having those beers with that guy. What's his name? That English guy. You're in trouble. I don't remember his name.
Lauren Tom. No, the thing is, though, you know, when you're traveling, you face certain things. You will always face something, you know. I mean, it doesn't matter which sort of, but you quickly forget about that. You know, I mean, with all the stuff we've been through, I would go and do it again and again and again and again. I mean, I actually don't have any regrets. No, there's nowhere that I actually felt
awesome.
We were.
It's the addiction of traveling on, isn't it? I mean, it's because you're waking up and you're going over a hill and you don't know what's going to be there. You don't know who you're going to meet. You're not going to work where you're meeting the same people. Hi, Bob. How are you doing today? I'm fine. Yeah. Where everything is the same. Every stimulation is the same. It's the same car you get in. You go at the same time. So, of course, it's an addiction. And we found that one of the cameramen actually wrote to me 8 years ago and said, I think you've gone a bit feral, and I took it as a bit of an insult. But in a way, it's kind of true, Bruce, because when we went back for the Overland, I was presenting at the Overland year before last. We both struggled, man.
It was from the kidnapping.
It was like we had the kidnapping, and then we were constantly on the move, and we were never with people. That's another thing. We like to go to places where there's no one, and it was too much. 350 people asking you questions and that. And I actually had like a panic attack. This is very unusual. And it was just like being the center of focus, whereas before you were just off, just dealing with things and enjoying them. So I in a way, you know, people say, you travel, it must make you so sociable and more accepting and everything. Sometimes it can twist the other way and you become more insular. I'm not saying I don't like people. I love people. But I think to us, it's motorbikes and nature and animals we are very, very hooked on. Unfortunately, people don't want to watch animal documentaries. They're 10 a penny. No, I mean, there are proper companies that do it amazingly. But that's our motivation. So, I all sort of got less friendly in a way, which is kind of strange.
But then, you know, the overland, the sort of the overland festival type thing, the overland event, the hub, everything like that, it is very much it's a really social affair, isn't it? You know, it's a weekend. Everyone is pumped for it. Everybody has been following whatever adventure you've been on. Everyone wants to come up and chat with you. So it's sort of, I was going to say the pinnacle. Pinnacle's the wrong word, but you've got the two extremes. Where you normally are, where you're by yourselves and, you know, you're not surrounded by a lot of people. And then you've got an event like that where everybody wants their piece of you, don't they? They all want to stand and chat and tell you their story. And so, yeah, that's got to be hard to deal with, the two extremes.
Yeah, it was. It was a shock. And I mean, I'm headlining the ABR, and I think there's 3,000 already. So, I mean, that makes the overland look tiny. So I might hide away in the cabin and let Cathy do it.
That is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a great event, but I don't know if we're going to make it, man. I mean, it's difficult, and it's money as well. Flights and all that business. So, but we're trying our best to get back for that and the overland.
Nice. I can't make the overland this year, sadly. I'm away in at the moment I'm due to be away. I'm away in Scandinavia. I'm doing a trip.
Are you riding or what?
Yeah. Doing a trip up through Finland, into Norway, up to Nordkap, and then back through bits of Norway, then mostly Sweden. But I think it's about 80% off-road, believe it or not. So just rugging it and camping it.
What bike are you taking then?
I'm taking my GS. I'm just taking the tractor.
Oh, you are taking it? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Just there's me and 5 lads I used to work with. One of them's an ex-bootneck, an ex-marine, so he loves to do the off the grid, camp wild. He loves doing that, so he's leading it, and I'm tagging along. So should be good fun. 3-4 weeks, I think we're away for.
Fantastic. Bit of headspace, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope it happens. I'm really looking forward to it. But I was gutted to miss the overland because obviously it didn't happen last year, did it? So it's like, or did it happen last year? I didn't make last year anyway.
Yeah, they did have one, but it was like, I think it was about half the amount of people because of the basing and all that. So yeah it's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, it is. I think the last one I went to was when you guys were there. I think that was probably the last one I did. So I really enjoy it.
Wonderful. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the events. It's just I was just quite surprised how strange we were when we went back there. But I mean, it was the same thing. I think the Panama thing, more than getting stopped out in Kenya and everything, strange enough, because of the length of time, that was the one that really knocked us. And Central America kind of went by in a bit of a haze. People ask us about Panama, Costa Rica, El Salvador, etc. We were just kind of going through the motions. And I think it was when we got here, calmed down a bit. But definitely weren't focusing on the enjoyment as much. But it's all come back.
I get that. Wow. Well, you've mentioned the shooting incident. I think I remember seeing a question about that on Instagram. So we'll wait till that. Well, if we're going to get there, I'll wait till that before we go into it. All right. But that's definitely something we need to chat about. Sure. Next question. Kev Parker, question for all. Is there anywhere on your travels you like so much you would base yourself there permanently if it was possible? This was written for you, wasn't it?
Yes, everywhere.
Difficult. Ecuador, we thought we'd found it, but the difference again between traveling and staying somewhere, Bruce, they're totally different. You really need to sit somewhere. And as I said to you, we had that problem with the altitude and we couldn't get the land. And that when you stay somewhere, there's other issues, life issues, real issues, I haven't personally found anywhere I want to stop and stay and live in, apart from Swaziland. That's my country. And I'm not sure how Cathy feels. We discuss it all the time. I mean, Mexico is fantastic, but you'll never tick all the boxes. But I just want to circumnavigate everywhere.
There's no place like home, Bruce. It doesn't matter where you go. Home's always going to be the place.
Do you find the more you travel, the more experiences you have, the more appreciation you have for what you have back home, what you've left?
I think we're a bit different. I mean, I can't answer for Cathy. I'm just guessing. I'm a nomad, so I'm happy to just keep moving. Your opinion?
Yeah, I've been moving around since I was a child. So,
so I found on my trip, some places that I absolutely loved. I mean, I really enjoyed Russia. I really liked Japan. I could I could see myself living somewhere like Japan. I loved it. Norway,
Okay.
I loved it there. There was lots of places that I thought, yeah, I could see me, basing myself here. But it also made me think, my God, we've got it good back in the UK.
Of course you do,
I came back with a newfound appreciation for what we have, and a newfound tolerance for things that used to really piss me off. And I'd be like, you know what? It's actually not that bad here. And I definitely find as I get older, I'm being drawn back to Scotland a lot.
I'm not surprised. Well, I went to university there. I don't know if you know, 4 years.
No, whereabouts?
Yeah, I went to Edinburgh Uni, yeah. And I loved it so much, I stayed 5 years. I finished my master's degree. I absolutely love Scotland. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, good town, Edinburgh. A lot of fun.
I had a fantastic time. It's a beautiful city, man. Absolutely beautiful. And obviously I went up north. I went traveling. I went to the islands, went to Skye, Odin, etc. Everywhere.
Awesome.
Every single holiday, because my mum and dad obviously in South Africa, and it's expensive to fly back, during the holidays at uni. So I just used to travel. So yeah, I know Scotland very well. It's an amazing place. But to answer that guy's question, I could live in Chile if it wasn't cold.
Whereabouts in Chile then?
The Carretera Austral. You've been down there, hey?
The where? Sorry.
The Carretera Austral, the highway that goes down. Oh, you didn't get that
right down to the very
south.
I went from Santiago north. I didn't get south.
Yeah, that's right. So you've missed it. It's a road where Chile and Argentina, you cross the border very frequently. Gotcha. Almost every day you can cross the border. But an absolutely unbelievably beautiful place.
Oh.
Chris, in the north of Scotland when you've got a beautiful day and it's crisp and clear, and you just the air just feels pure. Chile's like that. You just really feel like you're in a really clean, beautiful place.
Actually, Venezuela.
And Venezuela.
Is it?
Amazing. Amazing place. Amazing people, amazing place.
Yeah, one of the most beautiful country, and obviously the most beautiful people. They've had a Miss World 7 times in a row or something. No, I mean, Cathy and I look like Quasimodo when we went there. They're amazing. They're all supermodels. But apart from that, they're really nice people inside, man. They're struggling a lot, obviously. But it's politics.
Exactly. It's one of these places that... So go on.
No, I'm just saying, if you go into the supermarkets and things, there's nothing. There's just rows and rows of toilet paper. And strangely enough, man, you queue for petrol for, say, 7 hours. But when you get there, it's free. So the first time I arrived, it's free. He put my 23 litres in. I was like, how much? He was like, no, you don't pay. I was like, okay. He said, no, it's too little. Motorbikes never pay for petrol. So, I mean, it's got this weird thing where they don't have food, but petrol's free. But I will get political for 1 second. The Americans squished them with sanctions.
Yeah.
So, but a stunning country. It's got a place called the Valley of Flowers that drops into San Cristobal. And what they do is they have these, I'm a biker, I'm not supposed to talk about flowers. But anyway, they have these hundreds of different color flowers and they light them up at night. So you're going down a winding mountain road down to this crystal city, and they've got all these different colors lit up. Oh, beautiful.
You're making me want to travel again. You just make me want to hit the road.
But Venezuela was a surprise because nobody goes there. It was just such a shock how amazing everybody was. We went to a gold town. It's actually called El Dorado, and there are no police, no law, no nothing. The diamond guys or the local gold people, they run the town, but it's really run well.
It's one of these places, isn't it? Sorry, this delay. There's a pain, isn't it? The delay. Venezuela is one of these places that has such a bad reputation, like Mexico, there's so many really, especially in South and Central America, that they have this reputation that if you go there, you're going to die. And yet when you get there, they're some of the nicest people you're ever going to meet, aren't they? And they're so welcoming. Like Iran is like that, and Syria, before it was decimated, had the same reputation. It was somewhere I really wanted to go
Iran,
to.
people are always criticising Iran and how dodgy it is and everything. I mean, you've been there, haven't you? Lois has been there.
I didn't get Iran.
Oh, you didn't get that? Oh, but everyone raves about it.
Yeah.
How amazing those people are. And Venezuela's the same.
Cathy's not getting involved. Right, next question. Pete English. Hi guys, hope you're all fitting well. Question. Hollywood have contacted you and want to turn your fantastic travel story into a blockbuster movie. Who would you want to play your role?
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen.
Okay, wow. No, seriously. Rowan Atkinson.
All right. No?
Mr. Bean. Actually, I'm going to tell you something funny, because I have actually been asked to be in a film, but it's in Bollywood.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm going in a motorbike. I'm a baddie on a motorbike in an Indian gangster film next year.
Spencer, how did you get yourself in that situation? How did that happen?
These guys and their friends. Yeah, no,
Brilliant.
we made, Cathy especially is friends with a lot of the Indian groups, and it just built up, isn't it? We're just friends with them, and then this guy just got in touch with me, and he works in Bollywood, and asked me to be in a film. He'd been following us and all that, so I said, yeah. COVID, obviously, and he said, no, it's an open thing because they make a film every few days, you know?
Yeah.
Spencer did a YMCA photo shoot in a construction site in Nigeria.
How'd you do? Come on, what's the story with that?
Oh, man, this guy, Charlie Boy, he's got his own TV show. He's the head of Pop Idol in Nigeria. He's got a house like the White House. And he heard about me coming there, and he got in touch, and he said, oh, yeah, no, I'll sort you out. I'll help you with everything. And I did 5 radio interviews, 5 TV interviews, and then he said, no, now we're doing a modelling shoot. I was like, oh, Jesus. So we went to a construction site. Yeah, we went to a construction site in the middle of nowhere, and they had like caterpillar diggers and that, and they had guys dressed with the hard hats and everything. And then me and Charlie Boy swinging on these caterpillars, etc., etc. So yeah, man, very embarrassing. I actually did some modeling for a company.
You loved it, didn't you?
No, I find it hilarious. I did modeling for a company called Alpha Sales in England, in London, and they sell like surf gear, so they're not going to be very successful in London. So I did a modeling shoot for them, and 2 weeks after my photos out, they went bankrupt. But anyway, yeah.
The Conway effect.
Fun, yeah, Conway effect, failure. I forgot what the question was.
Far from it. Hollywood movie, who would play you?
Oh my God. Who's going to play you?
I'm not in the movie.
You're not in the movie.
Yeah, you are, Cathy. Yes, you are. Come on.
I don't really watch TV, man, or anything, so I can't even really name anybody. I'd rather be in it myself.
I was going to say it has to be Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, but then they've split up. They've split up, so you can't have that, can you?
Okay. Well, there's still hope.
There is still hope. Yeah. He's put same question to you, Bruce. Gee whiz, Shrek. Shrek could play me. I'll be the animated version.
Excellent. I know. Who's that South African adventurer? Your friend. Kingsley Holgate. Have you heard of Kingsley Holgate?
The name does ring a bell, but I can't put a face to it.
Jot it down, Bruce, man. It's Kingsley Holgate is so worth checking out, man. He's like you. He's like 6'5", very big, huge beard, inspirational traveler.
Gorgeous. Yeah,
amazing guy.
He started on motorbikes.
Yeah, he started on motorbikes, but now he does Land Rover expeditions. He's doing all the eyesight thing and glasses and glaucoma and injections and traveling around helping people.
I'll check that out then.
Yeah, nice.
One.
Sorry,
nice.
I didn't want to come into that.
No worries. Cheers, Pete. Thanks very much for that question. Next one, Adam F. If another pandemic hit and you had to stay in one country for 2 years, but were allowed to travel as much as you wanted around that country, which would it be and why? Good question. Ooh.
Mexico.
Yeah. Actually,
and it just so happens.
Actually, I've got to agree, Bruce, because obviously, it boils down to a few things, doesn't it? It boils down to money, of course, mate, because we're all stuck. We're all having a tough time. And quite frankly, to be totally honest, it's a quarter of the price of the UK. So it's very, very helpful for us because, obviously, we do magazine articles and things like that, but things have slowed down. And we've been here, 2 years. And it's been a bit of a godsend because, I like diving a lot.
Beautiful beaches.
We have a beach 100 meters that way and another one 100 meters that way. It's 32 degrees every day. We've got mountains 10 minutes away, and we got the motorbike. But it's politeness. We don't really want to travel. I don't want to pee anybody off. Because you do. I had an argument yesterday. You do find people wandering around without masks, tourists and that. And all the Mexicans are really, really strict, and they wear their masks all the time. Yeah. So, I don't want us to ride off somewhere and someone goes, why are you traveling around during COVID? So we're just going to sit tight here. We've got a gym around the corner. I've just nearly finished the second book. Cathy's got her new cameras and all that. So we've got lots to play with there. So yeah,
so it's to go. So well, that brings us on very nicely then to what is next. What happens now then?
Sure, it's okay. Same thing, COVID, but it's down to the Darian. But it's 6 countries to get through, Bruce. So it's looking chaotic. So it's got to be the next continent, and we're here. Yeah. So USA, Canada, and Alaska. So it's another 125,000 kilometers or so. So it should take a year and a half.
Yeah, all right. 10 years later, you'll still be doing it.
Man, I'm getting old. So, Cathy's like 10 years younger. No, I've got to get every continent done. We sort of need to get moving. But obviously, as it stands now, we've just got to be as flexible as everybody else and just see what happens. So, south to the Darian or north for the next continental circumnavigate.
Awesome. So what about Antarctica then? What's that? How are you going to do that? How's that one going to be tackled?
There's loads of things. It's a little bit like the Darian one, isn't it? You need to increase everything that you do because you're going to need different clothing. We're going to need different tires. We're going to have to be well prepared, especially for the cold. So it's a whole new big project. We've got a new sponsor as well, so they're going to sort us out with all our clothes.
Fantastic.
South, we weren't allowed to.
Where did we try?
Down south.
We tried to get, when we got to Ushuaia, which is the southernmost point. Mm-hmm. It's actually not the southernmost point, so everybody drives there and then they leave and they don't realise it. You have to go a little bit further into the national park. That takes you to the southernmost point, and then actually from there you can get onto some islands. We tried to do that to try and get south as we could, but there was no one there at the time that would take us. But in the Arctic, Antarctic, wherever we can get the bike, we will go as far as we possibly can, whether there's roads or not. If it's unfeasible and Cathy's going to die, then we won't do it. Both of us are going to die. We won't do it.
Cathy's face. Cathy's like, what do you know that I don't? What's going on?
Yeah, lots of things. Cliffs. That's it. But we can't give up on it. And obviously, I like writing, so I'll have a book for each one, and Cathy will be filming for the next series. So it should be bloody excellent. Awesome. The States. I've been to the States, but only when I was like 16. It should be interesting, and to try and find all those dirt roads. That's going to be the bit for me, because I don't want to go down a motorway. It's just not what we do. So
it's the worst thing you can possibly do in the States is just sit and do the freeways, because my wife and I do it. We do road trips now when we go across to the States. So we literally land in an airport, hire a big ass truck, and then just hit the road for 2 weeks with no plan. And we just do all the back roads. So, we're not doing off road or anything like that, but it's just proper
But
real
backwards,
America, you know, and just you get to see the real America, the nice little towns and wee villages, and it's amazing. Love it. You miss all that when you just sit on the freeway.
We have exactly the same philosophy. I mean, that's the thing, like the Pan American. There was one stage where we had to get to Santiago really, really quickly, and we went up the Pan American motorway, and you could have been anywhere. Could have been anywhere. You had two concrete bollards up the side, and on that day we had to make the progress. But it made me realize, oh no, this is not what we want to do.
Yeah.
I went to the States once. I got arrested.
You did.
What did you? What did you do?
I did. Nothing. I didn't have a
Who did you
visa
hit,
to walk
Cathy?
from one plane to another. Can you believe that?
What? You needed a visa?
We actually did. Yeah. We turned up, and this was last year when we came back. Yeah, we arrived, and we both didn't have visas, and we were like there, and then they locked us up for 8 hours, man.
That's insane.
And they were very officious.
Yeah, they are.
Everybody, if you go there, you need a visa to walk from one plane to another.
Yes, because we were in transit.
We were in transit.
That don't make sense, does it?
It was just one of those very, you get the great guys and then you get the officious ones. And it was just one particular guy who was, I'm Mr. Tough and all that. And Cathy gave him a bloody shouting at. And we eventually got out.
Obviously, that's why we were locked up for 8 hours.
In the first place. But that was stupidity on our part, man. We should have looked. Do you need a visa for the States? So I mean, it's totally our fault. But it was fairly new. It was a new thing.
Yeah, you wouldn't think you would need one if you were transiting. You're literally just doing a layover. Yeah. But oh well.
Yeah. We were in the airport for an hour, but it kept us 8. So
you live and learn, eh? You live and learn. Last question for Patreon. This is from Beans. Here's one for Spencer. I've been following these two for some time now, and I have a sneaking suspicion that Spencer has been buffing up. If so, I believe his exercises would have been Rocky Balboa style workouts. Spencer, is this true? If so, may I have some tips, please? So you've been working out, Spencer?
I know that is because I read it. It's Ian, isn't he? He's my friend. Ian Curry's being an arse. We got to. I've always been into weight training and motorbikes. I mean, from 5 years old, I had a bike, and then I started weight training from 12. Then gave it up. But I really, really enjoy it, and I do a lot of diving. So we've got a gym around the corner, and it's really expensive. It's like £6 a month.
Jesus.
So we've been doing diving, weight training and writing, and then when it opens up, we'll start filming again. So I enjoy doing a bit of weight training.
Awesome. Well, that's agreeing with you both.
I haven't got any tips.
How are you guys for time?
I think the tip is to go there. Yeah. Go to the gym. It's a good start, Ian.
I used to be a member of our local gym here just outside Maidstone, and in I think 2 or 3 years that I was a member, I actually trained there twice, I think. And the only reason I went was to use the Starbucks. And it was literally, I just thought, I've got to do something before I get a coffee. So I just, I think once I actually used the shower, and the other time I think I did some deadlifting. That was about it. And thought, right, I'll have my bit of tiffin cake and a coffee.
You're a big guy anyway, man. So
that's why I need to go to the gym. I'm too big. Although I've been rowing. I've started rowing this year. I've been rowing.
Oh, that's great. Rowing.
Yeah, really enjoy it. I got this thing in my head that I saw the old the Atlantic rowing challenge, when you row from La Gomera to Antigua, and I was like, oh, that looks a challenge. So my neighbour was throwing out an old rowing machine, and I was like, I'll have that. So I took the rower and decided, right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to train, and then I'll row the Atlantic. And I think I've realised how stupid an idea that is now. We'll see. It might happen. We'll see.
I think I saw a post of that. Didn't you put a post up of that machine?
Probably of the rower.
You were going to do exercises. I remember you writing something about needing to get fit or something.
Yeah, what happened was before New Year, I just decided.
As he opens his beer.
Yeah, I know. As I open a beer, before New Year, I just thought, right, enough is enough. You're a disgrace, proper fat blimp. I need to sort my life out. So I thought, I'm not going to be like everyone and wait for New Year's Day, the New Year's resolution. Just let's go, let's start. So I just started, and I posted up on, I think, Instagram stories. I'm going to start. I'll post every day that I'm training. If you see that I don't train, give me abuse. Do you know what I mean? Like, make me accountable. So if people are going, why aren't you training? Why aren't you training? I'll train then, won't I? So it went really well. You know, all of a sudden we had about 30 people that had all tagged. We'd all tagged each other on every day. Mostly all blokes. We were all like, right, have you trained? No, right, get your ass out there, train. And it was working really well. But over the time, it's just dwindled away. You know?
Yeah, they start dropping off.
Yeah, so I do it like maybe 3, maybe 4 times a week at the moment, and other people are doing it every day, 7 days a week, and then there's others who we haven't heard of in a long time.
I go about 4 times a week. Did I hear you say that you're in Maidstone? Okay,
I'm just outside it. Yeah, just off Bluebell Hill.
Oh, you've gone.
Oh, I'm back. You hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, just outside Bluebell. Off Bluebell Hill.
Just off where?
Off Bluebell Hill.
Oh God, okay. Yeah, my dad's like 15 minutes from you.
Oh, is he? You guys were Tunbridge Wells, weren't you?
You were there.
No, we were in Biddenden.
Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, the little village with they've got co-joined twins or something. That's what they were famous for. These.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, these two girls, they were joined together at the hip. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did, yeah. And everyone thought Cathy was such a nice person.
Yeah, inbred. Yeah. Anyway, they weren't inbred. They were joined. They were joined at the hip and the shoulder, and they lived for 34 years, man. So that's what the place is famous for. Strange.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sort of round there on the bike quite frequently, popping through.
Please cut that.
Cut it for you. Yeah. Okay, I will for you.
They might kill me with their pickle.
Can you put it? Can you do the opposite and? Can you do the opposite and put it on permanent repeat?
I'll put it in the trailer.
Inbred.
Yeah. I'll put it in the trailer.
Yeah, we'll be very popular.
Just for you. Right, I'm very conscious that I've kept you for nearly 2 hours here. Shall we just cherry pick a couple of questions from the?
No worries, man.
We're on Instagram, and I think there's a couple on Facebook. So we'll just grab a couple off of each platform, and then that will do. Right, so first one over at Instagram, which is at TeapotOne Insta. I'll put Spencer and Cathy's social links in the show notes as well, folks. So make sure you give them a like and a follow. Tour to Oz. Hello to you all, wishing you well. We know Bruce's motivation for his trip, but Spencer, was there a catalyst that changed thoughts to actions, or was this lifestyle always the intention? Well, we covered on that right at the start, didn't we? But
I can make it very briefly. Yeah, it was being stuck inside offices and teaching and that, and then realizing it wasn't me. Always into motorbikes, always into traveling. And I wanted to be the first person to circumnavigate the whole of Africa. And that was the first dream, and then just went ahead and did it. Cathy was working, I was working, teaching and construction, and then we saved up, and then that was it really. And then we changed our life.
We changed our life. Before that, we were traveling.
Before that, we've always traveled. Both our families and both our mum and dads are outdoor people. My dad's a marathon runner. He ran for England for many, many years, and he's a mountain climber. He's climbed all the main mountains. Cathy's parents also outdoor lifestyle. So, and also in South Africa, of course, you're outdoors a lot, and motorbikes are religion also.
My family generally are from everywhere. We're not all from one country. We've always travelled. I've travelled since I was 16. First love with Land Rovers, though. It's only now that I'm doing motorbikes.
Oh, right. Okay, so you're the four-wheel overlander.
Lifestyle.
Yeah. So, like, obviously the reason you touched on this earlier, the reason you didn't do the sort of circumnavigation of Africa with Spencer was because of your boys, your sons. So was it literally once you sort of felt right they've grown up, they can look after themselves now? Was then it like, right, now I'm going, let's go? Oh, nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got two girls actually, but
sorry, apologies.
Yeah. They were like 11 and whatever, and it wasn't the right time. And then when it all went really well with Travel Channel and all that, we had to pick another spot, and Cathy chose actually to do South America. It was literally, what continent should we do? I never had a massive interest. I don't know why. I don't know why. And then when we got here, wow. It was just a brilliant decision, and I'm so glad she chose it, because Cathy's always dreamt about the Amazon.
I was going to say, Cathy, what was the pull for South America then? What made that the place for you?
It was everything about South America. I've always been quite obsessed with the continent. I mean, I was living in the African continent, so that's usually the first one people go to. But I read all the explorers, the old explorers, all those books, and, Fawcett and all of them. But I had an obsession with the Amazon. I wanted to walk the entire length of the Amazon River. That was my original plan.
Wow.
And then I got sucked into motorbikes.
But also, I mean, we were both brought up on books and explorers. Our families were obsessed with them. So, I mean, I've read every bloody explorer in the world of all sorts, and we both just find it so thrilling. These people that guys just push the boundaries.
You guys sort of take. There's motorcycle overlanders, motorcycle overland travelers. There's that. I would consider myself that, where most of my trip was road. Most of it was tarmac. I did off-road when I had to, just when the tarmac ends, or for whatever reason you end up going down that route and it turned into the dirt. And to be honest, they're the most memorable parts for me. But that part, that made up a small percentage of my travel. And then there's the overland travellers like yourselves who actively, as you've already said, you look out for the most remote the places where no one goes, no outsiders ever go. That must be phenomenal too. Like you were talking about that town that you were in, where they hadn't seen an outsider for 30 years. That is incredible.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said a couple of sentences back, when you said when you get on the dirt roads, it's the most memorable of the time. I mean, we've done 120,000 kilometers on dirt and 40,000 on tar.
Wow.
So, I mean, we're just on the dirt. Obviously, there's certain sections where you just can't help it. You've got to get on a tar road. But it's those dirt roads that all the funky experiences happen, because other people aren't using them.
Yeah, true. And I always find... So go on.
I was going to say, but the two of us feel very much at home in the middle of nowhere.
And on dirt.
And dirt roads.
I mean, the XT is, everyone hates it because it looks like a transformer sort of toy. But it's one hell of a bike. And I mean, we've been up on it now for over 100,000.
And it's comfortable.
And it's comfy. I mean, people are like, you've got that same seat from 2009. Yes, we do, because it's fine. I mean, I understand why people like to play around with their toy and do all these modifications and everything like that. But to me, it's an example of the Japanese doing something very, very well. It's a tall bike, though, and it's strange to handle. I can understand why lots of people don't get on with it. But we're all personal. It's our own thing, And it's great. Exactly. Originally, I mean, I can pick it up, you see. So the Africa one, I knew I was going off-road. I knew I was going rough. So I knew that I was going to be picking it up. And so I didn't want to go any heavier. And, it's a great bike. Yeah. And Cathy loves it too. And she's the best with, like, if the tyres are off, the pressure off the engines, she's the first one. Yeah, she's just like, stop.
It's easy to maintain.
It is as well, yeah.
Do you ever ride it as well then, Cathy? Do you ever swap so that you're riding and Spencer goes pillion? No.
No. I can't carry Spencer on a big bike like that. No, I'm limited.
When you're off road,
but it's limited.
Yeah,
she likes the XT250 and the Hondas as well.
But you throw it around.
That actually brings us on to the next question. West Cork Wonder. Looking forward to hearing from Spencer and Cathy. Great guests for your podcasts. And lovely human beings as well. Yes, mate, they are. I'm possibly the only rider on the podcast to have been shot at while riding. I think the brake caliper on his trusty 660 took a hit. I met them at the Overland event some years ago and have followed the journey ever since. Cheers, Steve. So, this has come up a lot. What is the story about being shot at then?
My favourite bit is Lagunas in Maidstone phoned me up. You know them, don't you?
Yeah.
And they said, I've been wanting to say something like this my whole life. So I was like, what's that? And he said, your bike has failed its MOT because of a bullet hole in the swing arm.
Genius. That was mega.
Yes. I was in northern Kenya, a place called Moyale. It's the border. And they have a convoy because of Somali pirates. Right. You've heard about them, obviously. Yeah. So they train in that area, and they were loading up like goats and everything onto these trucks for like 3 or 4 hours. So I went to the army and I said, can I go, man? I don't want to wait for the convoy. And they said, yeah, go, on your head be it. And I drove about 20 minutes, half an hour. I saw these 3 guys up on a hill. So, you know, in Africa, everyone's so bloody friendly. So I was like, hey, guys. And they just pulled up an AK-47 and just started shooting.
What, and opened up at you?
Yeah, they took off, the back tire came off, a bullet went through the swing arm, sort of hit it, but you can see it. The brake calipers exploded because they got hit as well. And I fell off the bike, and they came running down the hill. So I got up, electric start, but I had no tire. So I just rode off expecting to be shot in the back, nothing. And I got round the corner. I went into the bush. I laid the bike down and I ran into the bush, and I stayed there all night in the rain. I slept in the bush, and then I walked about maybe 20 miles, 15 miles, and I found a Catholic mission, and there was a German priest there. And I cracked up then. And unbeknown to me, while he got me a cup of tea, he called the army, and the army came, and I had broken ribs, by the way. I didn't know at the time. And the army came and they said, no, we've got to go back. And I said, listen here, man, they're not going to be standing on that hill saying, hey, we shot that dude. It was, I've slept the night, they'll be gone. So anyway, we had to go back. They were all drunk. It was like, I thought I was going to get shot again, falling out of the truck. And they went around a few minutes and they were like, nah, there's nobody here. And then on the way back, they said, oh, we want to show you something. And I was like, what? And they said, check this cross here. So I was like, oh, what's that? He said, no, this is a Chinese construction worker who was shot through the head last week. So I was like, okay, cool. And the guy said to me, yeah, 400 people have been shot on this road in 1 year. So I phoned Travel Channel and I said, look, put it on your website, man. This is a dangerous road, etc. And Diesel Films. And he immediately flew over and filmed it, and I got interviewed by Kenyan TV and all that business. But they didn't put any of it on TV or the radio, obviously, because of tourism. I understand. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't. You know, a foreigner gets shot in Kenya is not very good for tourism. So I didn't push that on.
Not good news.
Yeah, and I mean, I was born in Kenya, so I mean, I didn't want to put bad vibes on the country, so I just left it at that. Obviously, people know about it over here. But when I was there, I just left it and kept it quiet. So yeah, they were just. I think they were just 3 guys. Just saw a big motorbike. Just thought, I'll get some dollars. Mm-hmm. There's no police or army or anybody around, and it was an opportunistic thing. But once again, my fault, Bruce, man. I mean, I should have gone with the convoy. That's why they have convoys, and that's what I always say to people. They say to me, Spencer, either your stories are not true, or you're mad. And it's more a case of we go looking for these things. So they are all true, and we have evidence of it. but it's from bad decisions sometimes. I mean, my decision making's been better since Cathy's been here, because she makes the decisions. But that was
she
stupid.
Picks the fights with the border officials, and
but I think she would have said we're staying with the convoy.
Yeah.
So it was just an instantaneous decision because of 2 hours of boredom or something, and off I went. And they were probably thinking, "Oh my God, what's this guy doing alone?"
Yeah.
So stupid.
It is probably interesting's the wrong word, but sometimes when you talk to people who haven't overlanded, they haven't travelled like that, and you tell them about certain situations, and their minds are just blown, aren't they? And they're like, "What, you went there? You did that? I can't believe you did that." But when you have been in that environment, it's just part and parcel of it. It's the sort of stuff you do, isn't it? But it's always quite leveling, quite grounding to hear from people like yourself when things really do go. I mean, that could have been obviously fatal, couldn't it? So when you hear about that, it does sort of stop you in your tracks sometimes, because I think as overlanders, certainly for me, I promote how good it is for people and how don't believe the shite that you read in the papers and you see on the TV, judge it for yourself, and people aren't always evil the way they're portrayed to be. But there are people like that out there, there are. There's not many of them, but there are bad people out there, definitely. And it does sort of, it does set that alarm bell off in your head where you're like, okay, you got to trust people, but at the same extent, you've got to listen to the little voice in the back of your head. When the hair goes up on your arm and you're like, is this the right decision or not? You've got to listen to spidey sensors sometimes, don't you?
Well, one thing I do want to say, it's 22 years, and that's 3 incidents.
Yeah.
Very
true.
And also,
true.
One of the guys of the Overland, one of the Overland event organisers, said to me, "I don't know why we have you on, because you just have these hellish stories, and no one will ever travel again, and you're supposed to be an inspiration." But my answer is yes. These things do happen, but it was either bad decision making or a decision to go to certain areas, and we all know perfectly well, if you go through a certain area of Glasgow with a stereo and a phone at a certain time of night, or anywhere.
Racist. Why'd you pick Glasgow, Spencer? Why'd you pick Glasgow?
I have no idea. I just picked it out of the air. No, but what I'm saying is you can put yourself in a situation in any country where you're acting stupid.
Absolutely.
So I would say the same as what you said is people must just get out there, because it isn't scary. It's no. 99.9% of the time you'll be fine, and everyone knows that, and we're all always so surprised how nice everyone is. I think.
Absolutely, yeah, totally.
Asked this a lot.
You broke all there, Cathy. We missed the start of that. What did you say? Sorry.
Sorry. I get asked a lot about safety on the road. Also being a woman. And I can honestly say to you, I've never had a moment, not once, in the last 5 years where I actually felt threatened or uncomfortable or was treated in any way, derogatory or anything really.
And they're so polite.
Everyone was incredibly polite. Everyone treated me incredibly well. And I mean, we've sat with really bad people. We've met some really bad people too, as much as we've met some really good people. And we just, maybe luck on our side, but I can honestly say you've got nothing to worry about. It's the problem comes in when you are living in a normal social situation wherever you're living, and you hear the news and you read the newspapers and the stories. And, obviously they're not going to come and tell you in the news of someone that's really nice, because it's not a story, it's not news that people want to hear.
Yeah.
But when you're traveling too, and you lose track of that, you don't read the news, you don't hear the stories or anything, and you just go to places and you have the most incredible time. Because we had one in Venezuela. When we were about to go into Venezuela, it was all over the news that you will die if you go into Venezuela. And I actually chose not to go. I wasn't going to go. Spencer was going to go on his own. But it was the Venezuelans themselves who encouraged me to go in, and it was one of the best places I ever been to. So,
yeah,
really, it's all good.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I didn't. I hope I didn't mean to come across negative there with what I'd said. It's just, you know, I'm always advocating getting out there and do it. You know, judge for yourself, travel, meet people, because as you said, 99.999% of the time, they're the nicest people you're ever going to meet. You know, and all the shit that you read about and you watch on the TV, it's utter bollocks to sell whatever it is and follow their agendas. But let's not get political. But there is always that chance. But as you said, Spencer, geez, I got almost bike jacked in London on my way to work. You know, these things can happen. You know, wherever you are.
They tried to grab the bike.
Yeah. I mean, I've chatted about it on here loads. But I was sat at some traffic lights right next to Big Ben. Sat at a red traffic light, and the old 2-up T-Max scooter came up behind me, and a Jigsaw 600 pulled in front of me like that, you know, to block my path. And the guy on the front bike looked straight at me, saw my camera that I had on my helmet, saw that it was blinking, waved, turned to the two guys behind and shook his head, and they went straight through the red lights and off they went. But it's boom.
Bloody hell.
And that can happen anywhere. It can happen anywhere. You can get knocked over by a bus, can't you? These things just happen. Yeah.
So you think the camera actually saved you there then, eh?
Yeah, I think so. I think probably. I don't know. You know, it happens so quick that by the time you think, this isn't good, boom, they've gone. They've moved on. So, who knows? Who knows? Right, let's have a little look. I don't want to get bogged down there. Let's move to Facebook. Who do we have here? So I'm just trying to cherry pick a couple of questions because I'm aware of the time here. You're right. Benjamin de Guilio, this is so cool. My question to Spencer and Cathy is, what's the worst mechanical failure you've had on the Yamaha and how was it fixed?
Yeah.
I think it was when we were traveling through Brazil and we had really bad fuel. Mm-hmm. It made our engine,
Pinking,
apparently.
Pinking.
Yeah, no, a lot of the fuel in Brazil is very bad. So on occasions we had to clear it completely. And even when you sometimes have water damage and you take the spark plug off and you pump it all out and it fires all the water out. Yeah. We had to do that a couple of times and it actually solved it. Biggest mechanical problem is right now the crankshaft and the bearings.
Wow. So how are you getting that fixed?
Craig Clary Clinch, I don't know if you know Craig. He's sorted everything out and it's in the air as we speak.
Awesome.
So I'll fix it. I'll be fixing it in the next few days. So yeah, as usual, bikers helping out again. But yeah, of course, that's the biggest thing.
So you are obviously very mechanical, Spencer. Is that something that you've taught yourself on the way, or were you mechanically minded before you set off? No,
I'm not actually a very good mechanic, Bruce. I can keep the bike running.
Right.
Yeah, I can keep the bike running, but I mean, I do use mechanics sometimes we can't carry all the tools that we need.
No.
I mean, all the simple stuff. I mean, Cathy changes the bearings on the shocks, and we do the oil, the coolant, we do the tires. Cathy can do most things that I do, but it's all the basic standard things. I feel such a fraud. Why is that, man?
I can fill up with fuel and I can put air in my tires. That's about it.
Well, you're not a fraud because you just admitted it. So yeah, no, I kind of got it because I was riding from very young. In South Africa, most people have bikes from very young. So it just comes, doesn't it? You just pick it up as you go along. But I'm in no way an expert mechanic. No way.
Sorry, I just clocked a question here, which I've got to ask. Wayne Kinsey, since Spencer has now become a supermodel, but is getting on a bit, is he considering having any work done?
Okay, Wayne. Wayne, you can piss off. Why is it? Does he not like my lines? No, I don't give a shit, man. I don't. I have never owned a hairbrush. Have you? Correct? Yeah. So I don't give a shit. Never. I've never brushed my hair. Never. 25 years I've been with her. I don't give a stuff about clothes. I don't give a stuff about what I look like at all. It's the lowest priority on my list. So Wayne, I'll leave it to you, man. You go have the Botox.
Right. What was that, Cathy?
No, I've got to spend all the money on Cathy's Botox, so I can't afford mine. Ow.
You're a brave man. You are a brave man.
Yes, I know.
I've just seen the last question down at the bottom here on Facebook is from Greg Turp. And all he's saying is, should be another good show with those two characters. I only want to know when they are stopping by.
Oh, in Greg's area. Well, Greg, as we said earlier, it's the next circumnavigation is your way. So thanks a lot, man. We'll be around to see you and Melanie for sure.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So if people want to follow your adventures, where do they go? What do they do?
Okay, we're in the process of finally, after 10 years, setting up the YouTube channel. So we're catching up with you. We're catching up with the rest of the world. So really, at the moment, it's only Facebook, Spencer James Conway, and then Instagram, Spencer James Conway with a little line in between it, and my website, spencer-conway.com. So that's got like the Africa programs on it and the YouTube clips and interviews and that sort of thing. But yeah, we're opening a company, the Number 10 Spanner Company, which is going to, there we go.
Nice.
We've just started.
I like that. I like the logo.
S&C. Oh, thanks, man. Well, it's S&C is Spencer and Cathy, but it's also Spencer Conway, but it's also Spanner Company. And it's also because the bull's horns is like moving forward in life and handlebars of a bike. So, yeah.
I like it.
Seriously, man.
Oh, yeah. Jeez, you're going all in.
Yeah. No, this is our company now from now on. So,
fantastic.
Yeah, we'll be sorting out stuff like that. So that's the other two projects is the YouTube channel and get the company running. And
so when's the YouTube channel up then?
And, it's going to be a few months. We're also having problems here, man. The internet's absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. I mean, even sending photos and things. Oh, it's a nightmare. So that's what we're struggling with at the minute. But yeah, that's what's in the pipeline.
Cool. When you get the YouTube channel up and running, let me know, tag me in it, and I'll promote as much as I can, okay?
Oh, thanps, Bruce. That'd be great.
No
and man, you're doing such a fantastic job. It's really good to see your business growing, man. You're getting loads of people there.
Well, the podcast seems to be doing well. It's got a very niche audience, but those who like it seem to really like it, which is awesome. And
absolutely.
I get the chance to chat with people like yourselves, so it's great.
Oh no, it's great fun, man. No, absolutely. And yeah, anything we can do to help with anything, Bruce, you just let us know anytime.
Awesome, guys. Well, folks, I will put all the links to Spencer and Cathy's current socials. I'll put them all down in the show notes if you listen to the podcast. And if you're watching the vid on YouTube, look at the vid description. They'll all be there. Well, guys, I don't want to take any more of your evening up. Thank you so much for coming on. I've loved every second of catching up with you, and I can't wait to do it in person again.
Cool. No, hey, thanks a lot, Bruce. And yeah, I hope the listeners enjoyed it. And yeah, man, keep it up. And we're going to catch up for a real beer over that side at some point. And if you go through Bin, then pop in and say hello to my dad. He's a cool guy.
I will. Let me know and I'll swing him by and say hello.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic.
All right, guys, you look after yourselves.
Thank you so much.
You too. Thanks for having us.
No problem at all. Folks, I hope you've really enjoyed this one. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up with the guys. If you've never ever heard of them before, I'm sure you're now addicted, so make sure you follow down in their socials. The adventure is by no means over. There's a lot more to come there. All right, folks, keep on doing your thing. Keep on looking after those that you love. Get on out there whenever you can and live your life. Woo-ha! Awesome, guys. Thanks so much, man.
Cheers,
Loved
Bruce.
it.
Take it easy, man.